In the peaceful town of Zamani, life moved at a gentle pace. The sun bathed the colorful market stalls in warm light, and the air was filled with the scent of spices and fresh fruits. People greeted each other with smiles, exchanging warm pleasantries as they went about their daily tasks. Children laughed and played in the dusty streets, their joy infectious to all who passed by. Zamani was not like other towns. It had a cherished tradition that set it apart. For generations, it was customary for the kings of Zamani to walk among their people in disguise. This practice was more than just a ritual. It was a deeply respected way for the ruler to truly understand the needs, dreams, and troubles of the people. King Ibrahim held this tradition close to his heart and took it very seriously. He believed that to be a good king, one must see the world through the eyes of their people. So, he often ventured into the town, blending in with the crowd, listening to the stories, and feeling the pulse of his kingdom. The people of Zamani loved King Ibrahim because he was not just their ruler, he was one of them. He listened to them with genuine interest, cared for them as if they were his own family, and ruled with wisdom and kindness that reflected his deep understanding of their lives. One particular day, King Ibrahim decided to visit the marketplace. He donned a simple brown robe and a hat that covered his royal features. He wanted to hear what his people were saying, to feel the pulse of the town. As he strolled through the bustling market, he heard the chatter of merchants and the laughter of children. He stopped by a fruit stand and listened to the vendor talk about his mangoes. The vendor, not recognizing his king, spoke openly. "These mangoes are the best in all of Zamani," the vendor boasted, holding up a ripe fruit for Ibrahim to see. Ibrahim chuckled and bought a mango, enjoying the sweetness of both the fruit and the conversation. He moved on, listening to a group of women discussing the upcoming festival, their excitement palpable. "Do you think the king will attend this year?" one woman asked, her eyes shining with anticipation. "I hope so," replied another. "King Ibrahim always brings such joy to our celebrations." Hearing this warmed Ibrahim's heart. He knew his people respected and loved him, and he cherished the bond they shared. As he continued his walk, Ibrahim felt a sense of peace and pride. Zamani was a place where people helped one another, where kindness and community thrived. But little did he know, a storm was brewing on the horizon, one that would test the strength and unity of his beloved town. With the sun setting in the distance, Ibrahim returned to his palace, grateful for the day's experiences. The next morning, the sun rose over Zamani, casting a golden light across the town. But this morning, there was a tension in the air that the townspeople couldn't shake off. Whispers of trouble had begun to spread, carried on the wind like a silent alarm. In the marketplace, the usually cheerful chatter had turned into worried murmurs. People spoke in hushed tones about the mysterious disappearances that had begun to plague their town. "Did you hear about Sani's son?" a woman whispered to her friend as they bought vegetables. "He went out to fetch water and never came back." "And what about Aisha's jewelry?" another man added, shaking his head. "Gone without a trace." The people of Zamani were starting to feel uneasy. Strange things were happening in their town. People talked about how belongings were disappearing without a trace, and some even said that people had vanished from their homes as if they had just vanished into thin air. No one knew what was causing these strange events, and it made everyone feel worried and afraid. The townspeople whispered to each other, their voices filled with concern, wondering what could be behind these mysterious happenings. The fear was palpable, and the sense of safety that once blanketed Zamani seemed to be slipping away. In the palace, King Ibrahim listened to the growing unrest with a heavy heart. He knew he had to act quickly to reassure his people and uncover the truth behind these troubling events. He decided to call a town meeting to address the concerns directly. The townspeople gathered in the main square, their faces etched with worry. As Ibrahim stood before them, he saw the fear in their eyes. It was clear that the mysterious disappearances had shaken their confidence. "My dear people," Ibrahim began, his voice calm yet firm. "I understand your fears and share your concerns. As your king, it is my duty to protect you and ensure your safety. We will work together to uncover the truth behind these events." The crowd murmured in agreement, their trust in Ibrahim unwavering. But the king knew words alone would not be enough to ease their worries. He needed to take action. After the meeting, Ibrahim returned to the palace deep in thought. He knew that to find the truth, he would need to once again walk among his people, listen to their stories, and uncover the clues that would lead him to the heart of the mystery. As the sun dipped below the horizon, King Ibrahim prepared himself for the journey ahead. He would do whatever it took to protect his people and restore peace to Zamani. Under the cover of night, King Ibrahim prepared to step into the shoes of a commoner. He knew that to uncover the truth behind the disappearances, he needed to become one of the people, to hear their whispers and see what they saw. Ibrahim donned a plain robe and a simple turban, his royal appearance hidden beneath the fabric. He looked in the mirror, satisfied that he now resembled any other villager in Zamani. Stepping out of the palace gates, Ibrahim felt the cool breeze on his face. The streets were quiet, but the air was thick with tension. He moved with purpose, making his way toward the bustling heart of the town. At the night market, he found groups of people gathered in hushed conversations, their faces marked with concern and fear. "These bandits are like ghosts," a man whispered to his friend. "They come and go, leaving nothing behind." "They say the Yarima bandits can walk through walls," another added, his voice trembling with fear. Ibrahim listened carefully, noting every detail. He moved from group to group, piecing together the stories and fears of his people. As he wandered through the town, he noticed something peculiar. Strange symbols had been etched into the walls of several buildings. They were intricate and mysterious, like a code that only the bandits understood. Curiosity piqued, Ibrahim examined the markings closely. He traced them with his fingers, feeling the roughness of the stone beneath his touch. These symbols were a clue, a thread that could lead him to the truth. Just then, a soft rustle echoed from the shadows. Ibrahim turned, catching a glimpse of a figure lurking in the darkness. The person disappeared before he could call out, leaving only the sound of footsteps echoing in the night. His heart raced with caution. Who was this stranger, and what did they know about the bandits? Determined to find out, Ibrahim continued his investigation, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. He knew the path ahead would be fraught with danger, but he was resolved to protect his people and restore peace to Zamani. With the first light of dawn breaking on the horizon, Ibrahim returned to the palace, his mind filled with questions and possibilities. He had uncovered clues that could lead him closer to the truth, but the mystery was far from solved. He knew that to find the answers, he would need to delve deeper into the shadows, following the trail of what he heard the people called the Yarima bandits to its source. The sun had just risen over Zamani, casting a warm glow over the town. Yet, the peaceful morning was shattered for one man, Abubakar, a talented potter known for crafting the most beautiful pottery in the region. Today, however, he felt no joy in his craft. Abubakar's daughter, Fatima, had disappeared without a trace. The lively and curious girl who brought so much light into his life was now gone, and the void left in her absence was unbearable. "Fatima," he called out, his voice echoing through the empty streets. But there was no answer, only the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. Desperate and heartbroken, Abubakar wandered through the market, asking anyone he met if they had seen his daughter. She was wearing a red dress, with flowers in her hair. He described to a woman selling vegetables, hope flickering in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Abubakar," the woman replied, her expression sympathetic. "I haven't seen her." Just as despair threatened to overwhelm him, a gentle voice spoke up. "I will help you find your daughter." Abubakar turned to see a man in simple clothing, his face kind and reassuring. It was King Ibrahim, still in disguise. moved by the potter's plight. "I know the pain of losing someone dear," Ibrahim said, his voice soft yet filled with determination. "Let us find Fatima together." Grateful for the offer of help, Abubakar nodded, tears of relief welling in his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered, feeling the warmth of a new bond forming. The two men set off on their search, Abubakar sharing stories of Fatima's adventurous spirit. With each tale, Ibrahim felt more determined to find her and bring her home. As they searched, Ibrahim shared some of his own insights. "I believe the Yarima bandits may be behind the disappearances," he explained, "but we will not rest until Fatima is safe." Their journey took them to every corner of Zamani, asking questions and seeking answers. They spoke to merchants, farmers, and children playing in the streets, hoping to find a clue that would lead them to Fatima. As the day wore on, their search seemed fruitless, but Ibrahim refused to give up hope. He knew that perseverance and unity were their greatest allies. In the fading light of day, Abubakar and Ibrahim returned home, but vowed to continue their search until Fatima was safely back home. Abubakar and Ibrahim set off early the next morning, determined to find Fatima. They began their search at the riverbank, a place Fatima loved to explore. The river flowed gently, but its serene beauty was marred by the fear that gripped the town. "Fatima used to play here," Abubakar said, his eyes scanning the area for any sign of his daughter. "She loved the sound of the water." Ibrahim nodded, understanding the urgency and pain in Abubakar's voice. They searched the riverbank, looking for footprints or any trace of Fatima. It was Ibrahim who first noticed the strange markings on a tree near the water's edge. The symbols were similar to those he had seen in the town, etched deeply into the bark. "These symbols," Ibrahim pointed out, "they are a clue. The bandits must use them to communicate." Abubakar examined the markings closely, his brow furrowed in confusion. "What do they mean?" he wondered aloud. "I don't know yet," Ibrahim replied, "but they are part of the bandits' secret language. We need to find someone who can understand them." As they continued their search, they noticed a piece of fabric caught on a branch. It was red, like the dress Fatima had worn. Abubakar's heart leapt with hope. "This must be Fatima's," he said, clutching the fabric tightly. The discovery gave them renewed determination. They followed the trail deeper into the woods, their hearts pounding with anticipation and fear. As they ventured further, a sense of unease settled over them. The trees seemed to close in, and the path became narrow and winding. Then, from the shadows, a figure appeared, watching them silently. The person was cloaked, their face hidden from view. Ibrahim and Abubakar froze, unsure of what to do. "Who are you?" Ibrahim called out, his voice steady despite the tension. The figure stepped forward, revealing themselves to be a young man with keen eyes. "I know about the bandits," he said in a low voice, "but you must be careful. They are dangerous." Abubakar exchanged a glance with Ibrahim, sensing both hope and danger in the stranger's words. "Can you help us?" Abubakar asked, desperation tinging his voice. The stranger nodded. "I can show you where they hide, but you must promise to be cautious. The bandits do not show mercy." With the stranger's guidance, Ibrahim and Abubakar followed him deeper into the forest, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were getting closer to uncovering the truth. Together, they ventured into the unknown, determined to find Fatima and put an end to the threat of the Yarima bandits. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the land, their journey continued, filled with danger and hope. The forest was dense and dark, with shadows stretching across the path as Ibrahim, Abubakar, and the mysterious stranger ventured deeper into the heart of the woods. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the distant rustle of leaves, creating an atmosphere of both mystery and unease. The stranger, whose name was Kamal, moved easily through the forest, his steps quiet and sure. He knew the woods well, guiding Ibrahim and Abubakar through hidden paths that only someone very familiar with the area could find. As they walked, Kamal shared a bit about his past. He used to be part of the bandits. At first, they were just a group of men trying to survive. But over time, they became cruel, hurting innocent people without care. Kamal was part of them, but he couldn't stand the terrible things they were doing. He felt ashamed of what he had done. "I couldn't take it anymore," Kamal said, his voice soft and filled with regret. "They were hurting good people. I tried to tell them it was wrong, but they didn't listen, so I left." "They're looking for me too," Kamal explained, glancing around the dark trees as if expecting the bandits to appear at any moment. "That's why I stay in the woods. It's the only place I can hide from them." Even though he was in danger, Kamal decided to help Ibrahim and Abubakar. He couldn't watch more innocent people get hurt. Helping them find the bandits' hideout was his way of trying to make up for what he had done. As they walked, Kamal shared what he knew about the Yarima bandits. "They are led by a man named Malik Jibo," Kamal explained, his voice low and cautious. "He is cunning and ruthless, and he has many followers." Ibrahim listened intently, absorbing every detail. He could sense that Kamal was telling the truth, and the urgency of their mission became even more apparent. "But why would they take children like Fatima?" Abubakar asked, his voice filled with both anger and desperation. "The bandits take whatever they believe will increase their wealth and power," Kamal explained grimly. "They don't just steal valuables like gold or jewelry. They also take people who can be exchanged for ransom. For them, everything is about gaining more control and resources, making them richer and stronger. Every action they take is aimed at expanding their influence and tightening their grip on the area." As they continued their journey, the forest seemed to close in around them. The path was narrow and winding, but Kamal led them with certainty, each step bringing them closer to the bandits' hideout. Finally, they reached a clearing where Kamal stopped and pointed to a cave hidden behind a thicket of bushes. "This is where they hide," he said, "but be careful. They have lookouts and traps set for anyone who tries to approach." Ibrahim felt a mix of fear and determination. He knew they were close, but the danger was real, and one wrong move could mean disaster. "Thank you, Kamal," Ibrahim said, his gratitude genuine. "We will be careful." Kamal nodded, his eyes serious. "I will stay nearby and watch. If you need help, I will be ready." With that, Ibrahim and Abubakar moved toward the cave, their hearts pounding with anticipation and fear. The entrance was dark and foreboding, but they knew they had no choice. They had to find Fatima and stop the bandits. As they approached the cave, Ibrahim whispered to Abubakar, "Stay close and be silent. We must not alert them to our presence." Abubakar nodded, his resolve unwavering. Together they entered the cave, stepping into the unknown with courage and determination. Inside, the cave was cool and damp, the air thick with the smell of earth and stone. The walls echoed with distant sounds, and the darkness seemed to press in on them. But Ibrahim and Abubakar pressed on, guided by the faint light of a torch that flickered in the distance. They knew they were close to uncovering the truth, and they would not stop until they found Fatima and brought her safely home. The air inside the cave was damp and chilly as Ibrahim and Abubakar crept forward, their footsteps echoing softly against the stone walls. Shadows danced around them, flickering in the light of the torch they carried. As they moved deeper into the cave, the sounds of voices reached their ears, low and murmuring like the distant hum of bees. The bandits were near, and Ibrahim knew they had to be cautious. Abubakar's heart raced with a mix of fear and determination. He clutched the torch tightly, its light casting a warm glow over their path. As they turned a corner, they came upon a scene that made them stop in their tracks. In a large chamber illuminated by a central fire, the Yarima bandits were gathered, their faces marked with a mix of arrogance and cunning. At the center of the group stood Malik Jibo, a tall and imposing figure whose presence commanded attention. His eyes were sharp, and his demeanor was one of cold authority. Ibrahim watched him carefully, noting the way the other bandits deferred to him. Malik Jibo was speaking, his voice carrying a hint of menace. "We will strike Zamani during the festival," he said. His words met with nods of agreement from his followers. They will be too distracted to notice until it's too late. Ibrahim's heart sank as he realized the scope of the bandits' plan. The festival was a time of joy and celebration for Zamani, and the thought of it being disrupted by violence filled him with urgency. Abubakar exchanged a glance with Ibrahim, his eyes filled with determination. They had to stop the bandits and protect their town. But just as they were about to retreat and formulate a plan, Abubakar accidentally knocked a loose rock with his foot, sending it clattering across the cave floor. The bandits turned in unison, their eyes narrowing as they scanned the shadows for the source of the noise. Ibrahim and Abubakar held their breath, their hearts pounding in their chests. "Who's there?" Malik Jibo demanded, his voice sharp with suspicion. Ibrahim and Abubakar remained silent, their bodies tense and ready to flee if necessary. The bandits continued to search, but the darkness hid their presence, and after a tense moment, Malik Jibo dismissed the noise as a trick of the cave. "Continue your preparations," he ordered, turning back to his men. "We must be ready for the festival." With the bandits distracted once more, Ibrahim and Abubakar carefully retreated, their hearts racing with relief and resolve. They had witnessed the bandits' plans firsthand, and they knew they had to act quickly to stop them. As they emerged from the cave into the forest, the cool night air wrapped around them like a comforting embrace. They had faced danger and emerged unscathed, but the true battle was just beginning. The forest was alive with the sounds of night as Ibrahim and Abubakar made their way back towards Zamani. The moon cast a silvery glow through the trees, guiding their path as they navigated the familiar terrain. But the danger was far from over. The Yarima bandits were on high alert, and Ibrahim knew they couldn't afford to let their guard down. As they hurried through the underbrush, Abubakar's foot caught on a root, sending him tumbling to the ground. The noise echoed through the stillness, and Ibrahim quickly helped him to his feet. "We must move quickly," Ibrahim whispered, urgency in his voice. "The bandits won't hesitate to chase us if they hear us." Abubakar nodded, his heart pounding with fear and determination. Together they pressed on, moving swiftly through the shadows. Behind them, a shout rang out, piercing the quiet of the forest. There they are! The bandits had discovered their presence and were now giving chase. Ibrahim and Abubakar sprinted through the trees, their breath coming in ragged gasps as they pushed themselves to their limits. The forest seemed to close in around them, the branches reaching out like clawing hands. But they knew the terrain well, and they used it to their advantage, weaving through the trees and leaping over obstacles. As the bandits closed in, Ibrahim spotted a small cave hidden beneath a rocky outcrop. "This way," he called to Abubakar, leading him toward the shelter. They ducked inside, pressing themselves against the cool stone walls as the sound of footsteps grew louder. The bandits were close, their voices harsh and angry as they searched for their quarry. Ibrahim held his breath, listening to the bandits' approach. His heart raced, but he remained calm. The footsteps grew louder, then began to fade as the bandits moved past, unaware of the two figures concealed in the darkness. After a tense moment, the forest returned to its natural state, the sounds of night creatures filling the air once more. Ibrahim and Abubakar let out a sigh of relief, knowing they had narrowly escaped capture. "We must warn the town," Abubakar said, his voice filled with urgency. "The festival is tomorrow, and the bandits plan to strike." Ibrahim nodded, his mind racing with plans. They had to act quickly to protect Zamani and its people. They made their way back through the forest. As they emerged from the forest, the first light of dawn broke on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land. The sun had just risen over Zamani, casting a golden light across the town as the townspeople began their day. But for Ibrahim and Abu Bakr, the morning was filled with urgency and determination. They had returned from the forest with vital information about the Yarima bandits' plan to attack during the festival. Now, they needed to act quickly to protect their home. Ibrahim gathered his trusted allies, including Abu Bakr and Yusuf, a resourceful young man known for his quick thinking and cleverness. Together, they formed a plan to infiltrate the bandits' ranks and stop the attack. "I'll disguise myself as a new recruit," Ibrahim explained, outlining his plan. "I'll join the bandits and learn their plans from the inside." Abu Bakr and Yusuf exchanged worried glances, concerned for Ibrahim's safety. "It's dangerous," Abu Bakr said, voicing his fears. "What if they discover who you are?" Ibrahim smiled, a glint of confidence in his eyes. "I've done this before," he reassured them. "I'll be careful, and I'll have you both watching my back." Yusuf nodded, his expression resolute. "We'll be ready," he promised. "The townspeople are prepared, and we have a plan to intercept the bandits." With their strategy in place, Ibrahim donned a disguise, a simple tunic and a worn cloak that made him look like a traveler seeking work. He blended in with the crowd, his demeanor calm and composed. As Ibrahim approached the bandits' hideout, he felt a mix of anticipation and resolve. The fate of Zamani rested on his ability to infiltrate the bandits, and he was determined to succeed. At the entrance, a suspicious bandit blocked his path, his eyes narrowing as he sized up the stranger before him. "What do you want?" the bandit demanded, his voice gruff and filled with mistrust. "I've heard you're looking for new recruits," Ibrahim replied, keeping his tone calm and confident. "I have street credibility and skills that could be valuable to you." The bandit raised an eyebrow, clearly not convinced. "What kind of skills?" he asked, still eyeing Ibrahim with suspicion. "I'm good with planning and strategy," Ibrahim said. "I know how to navigate tricky situations, and I've handled some tough jobs in the past. You could use someone like me." The bandit hesitated, still wary of the stranger in their midst. "We don't just take anyone in," he warned. "You'll need to prove yourself." With that, the bandit decided to take Ibrahim deeper into the hideout. As they walked through the camp, Ibrahim could feel the eyes of the other bandits on him, their suspicion palpable. Finally, they reached a large tent where Malik Jibo, the leader of the bandits, was waiting. Malik Jibo was a tall, imposing figure, his presence commanding the room. He studied Ibrahim with a cold, calculating gaze, clearly not easily swayed by words alone. "So, you want to join us?" Malik Jibo asked, his tone sharp. "Why should I trust you? We don't welcome strangers lightly." Ibrahim knew this was the moment that would decide everything. "I understand your caution," he said, meeting Malik Jibo's gaze steadily. "But I bring valuable skills that can help your group. I've handled difficult jobs before, and I know how to think on my feet. If you give me a chance, I can prove I'm worth it." Malik Jibo continued to scrutinize Ibrahim, weighing his words carefully. After a tense silence, he finally nodded. "All right," he said, "but you'll need to prove yourself. We don't tolerate weakness here." With that, Ibrahim was accepted into the camp, but he knew that the real test was just beginning. He would have to earn their trust while secretly gathering the information he needed to protect Zamani. Every step was a delicate balance between gaining the bandits' confidence and avoiding discovery. Meanwhile, back in Zamani, Abu Bakr and Yusuf worked closely with the local vigilantes and those capable of fighting. They made sure everyone was prepared for the upcoming battle. These were men who had trained for moments like this, ready to defend their town at all costs. Abu Bakr and Yusuf stayed in touch with Ibrahim using secret signals, keeping him updated and making sure their plans were on track. As the hours passed, the tension grew. They double-checked their plans and weapons, knowing the fight was close. As the sun set over Zamani, casting long shadows, the vigilantes and fighters stood ready. They were united by a strong purpose: to protect their town and the people they cared about. Everything was set for the battle that would decide the future of their home, and Ibrahim and his allies were ready to face whatever came their way. Ibrahim's heart raced as he moved among the Yarima bandits, his disguise allowing him to blend in with the group. The camp was alive with activity, the bandits sharpening their weapons and discussing the upcoming heist with anticipation. His mission was clear: to gather as much information as possible about their plans and use that knowledge to protect Zamani. He knew he had to be careful, for one wrong move could expose him and put the entire town at risk. Malik Jibo, the leader of the bandits, was a figure of authority and intimidation. His presence commanded respect, and his words were law. Ibrahim watched him closely, noting the way the other bandits followed his orders without question. "You," Malik Jibo called out, pointing to Ibrahim. "You're new. Let's see what you can do." Ibrahim stepped forward, aware that this was a test of his abilities and loyalty. He had prepared for this moment, knowing that proving himself was crucial to gaining the bandits' trust. With steady hands and a calm demeanor, Ibrahim demonstrated his skills, moving swiftly and silently as he executed a series of tasks designed to test his agility and resourcefulness. The bandits watched with interest, nodding in approval as Ibrahim completed each challenge with ease. Malik Jibo gave a nod of satisfaction, acknowledging his competence. "Not bad," he said, a hint of respect in his tone. "You might just be useful after all." With that, Ibrahim was accepted into the ranks of the Yarima bandits, his position secured. He knew he had to tread carefully, but the information he gathered would be invaluable in the fight to protect Zamani. Each night, Ibrahim continued to send discreet signals to Yusuf and Abu Bakr, keeping them informed of the bandits' movements and strategies. Living among the Yarima bandits was no easy task for Ibrahim. Every day, he faced the challenge of maintaining his disguise while gathering crucial information about their plans and weaknesses. The bandits were ruthless, their methods cruel, and Ibrahim felt the weight of his mission pressing heavily on his shoulders. He watched as they plotted their attack on Zamani, listening intently to their discussions and memorizing every detail. Malik Jibo, the leader, was a man driven by greed and power, his plans carefully calculated to exploit the town's vulnerabilities. Ibrahim knew that time was running out, and he needed to act quickly. The festival was approaching, and the bandits planned to strike when the town was at its most vulnerable. Despite the danger, Ibrahim found moments of solace in the small acts of kindness he witnessed among the bandits' ranks. There were those who showed glimpses of humanity, reminding him that even in the darkest places light could be found. But he couldn't let sympathy cloud his judgment. The safety of Zamani depended on his ability to outsmart the bandits and protect his people. As the festival drew nearer, Ibrahim's resolve grew stronger. He had witnessed the bandits' cruelty firsthand, and he was determined to stop them. In the dead of night, Ibrahim sat by the campfire, his mind racing with thoughts of the battle to come. He knew that the stakes were high, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With each passing day, the tension in the bandits' camp grew, and Ibrahim knew that the time for action was drawing near. The fate of Zamani rested on his shoulders, and he was determined to protect his people at all costs. As the first light of dawn broke on the horizon, casting a golden light across the town as the people prepared for the festival, the air was filled with excitement and anticipation, but beneath the surface, a sense of urgency lingered. The townspeople were unaware of the impending danger, but Ibrahim and his allies knew that the Yarima bandits planned to strike during the celebrations. The festival was a time of joy and unity, and the thought of it being disrupted by violence filled Ibrahim with determination. In a quiet, hidden spot, away from prying eyes, Ibrahim met with Abu Bakr and Yusuf to finalize their plans. They had been working tirelessly to prepare the town's defenses, coordinating the efforts of the local vigilantes and fighters to make sure they were ready to protect their home. "We have to act quickly," Ibrahim said, his voice steady and commanding. The bandits planned to blend in with the festival crowd. We must be vigilant and ready to respond. Abu Bakr nodded, his expression firm. The vigilantes and fighters are ready, he assured Ibrahim. We've set up traps and ambush points all around the town. We'll be ready to defend our home. Yusuf added, I've been spreading the word among those who can fight, making sure everyone knows their role. We won't let the bandits succeed. With their plans in place, Ibrahim and his allies quietly moved through the town, coordinating with the vigilantes and ensuring that everyone was in position. They made sure that every trap was set and that each person knew exactly what to do when the time came to defend Zamani. The festival began, and the town was alive with color and music. The people of Zamani were eager to celebrate, their spirits lifted by the joy and unity that defined their community. But beneath the surface of the festivities, the tension was palpable. Ibrahim and his allies watched and waited, ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. As the day wore on, the bandits moved into place, disguised as performers and merchants. They blended in with the crowd, their eyes scanning for opportunities to strike. But the vigilantes and fighters were prepared, their resolve unwavering as they stood ready to defend their home. They had the element of surprise on their side, and they were determined to protect Zamani at all costs. As the first light of dawn broke on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land, the stage was set for the confrontation that would decide the fate of Zamani. The festival was in full swing, with laughter and music filling the air as the people of Zamani celebrated their vibrant culture. The streets were alive with activity, and the atmosphere was electric with joy and camaraderie. But beneath the surface of the festivities, a sense of urgency lingered. Ibrahim, Abu Bakr, and Yusuf knew that the Yarima bandits were poised to strike, and they were ready to defend their home. As the bandits moved into position, disguised as festival goers, the vigilantes and fighters remained vigilant. They watched closely, ready to act at a moment's notice. Hidden among the crowd, they waited for the perfect time to strike, determined to protect their town from the threat lurking in their midst. The bandits made their move, attempting to rob the festival stands and create chaos among the crowd. But just as they were about to strike, Yusuf gave the signal to the vigilantes and fighters, who sprang into action to defend their town. Chaos erupted as the bandits realized their plan was falling apart. The element of surprise worked in the defenders' favor, and they quickly surrounded the intruders, cutting off any chance of escape. Abu Bakr led a group of fighters in a coordinated effort to secure the area, making sure the bandits couldn't regroup. The sound of battle echoed through the streets, but the vigilantes fought with courage and determination, refusing to let their home fall into enemy hands. As the tide of battle turned in their favor, the vigilantes and fighters gained the upper hand, pushing the bandits back and reclaiming their town. With the threat of the Yarima bandits diminished, the people of Zamani celebrated their victory, knowing that their town was safe once more. And as the sun set on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land, Ibrahim reflected on the strength and courage that had brought them to this moment. Together they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, united by a common purpose and a shared love for their home. The battle had been won, and the people of Zamani stood triumphant, their spirits lifted by the hard-fought victory. Many of the Yarima bandits had been captured, and the town breathed a sigh of relief. However, the threat was not entirely gone. Malik Jibo, the cunning and ruthless leader of the bandits, had managed to escape. Ibrahim knew that until Malik Jibo was caught, the safety of Zamani was still at risk. In the aftermath of the battle, Ibrahim decided it was time to reveal his true identity. The townspeople, including Abu Bakr and Yusuf, had fought bravely, unaware that their king had been among them, disguised as a common. Gathering his allies in a secret location, Ibrahim removed his disguise, standing before them as their king. Abu Bakr and Yusuf stared in disbelief. The man they had fought alongside, who had risked his life in the thick of battle, was none other than King Ibrahim himself. You're our king?" Yusuf stammered, struggling to process the revelation. "I am," Ibrahim confirmed, his voice steady and full of resolve. "I became one of you to understand the enemy, to learn their ways, and to protect our town from within. But this fight is not over. Malik Jibo is still out there, and we must finish what we started." The surprise quickly turned into admiration and respect. Knowing that their king had been willing to risk everything for them filled the people with renewed determination. With the immediate threat to Zamani still looming, Ibrahim gathered his allies, Abu Bakr, Yusuf, and the most capable fighters among the townspeople. They were all united by a single purpose: to hunt down Malik Jibo and put an end to his reign of terror once and for all. "We've come this far," Ibrahim said, his voice filled with unwavering determination. "Now, we must bring this to an end." The group set out, following the trail of clues that led them deeper into the heart of the forest, where Malik Jibo and his remaining followers were hiding. The air was thick with tension as they approached the bandits' hideout, but Ibrahim's resolve did not waver. He knew this confrontation would be the ultimate test of his leadership and strength. As they reached the clearing where Malik Jibo stood waiting, flanked by his loyal bandits, the final battle began. Malik Jibo sneered at Ibrahim, his voice dripping with contempt. "You think you've won?" he taunted. "This is only the beginning." But Ibrahim was ready. "Your reign of terror ends today," he declared, his voice strong and resolute. "The people of Zamani will not bow to your tyranny." A tense silence hung in the air as the two leaders faced off, their respective followers watching with bated breath. Malik Jibo gave the signal, and the remaining bandits attacked with ferocity, but Ibrahim and his allies were prepared. They met the onslaught with courage and determination, their unity proving to be an unbreakable force. The battle was fierce, but as it raged on, it became clear that the bandits were no match for the strength and resolve of Zamani's defenders. The townspeople, led by their king, pushed the bandits back, breaking their spirits and scattering their ranks. In the midst of the chaos, Ibrahim and Malik Jibo faced each other in a final showdown, their eyes locked in a battle of wills, each determined to emerge victorious. But it was Ibrahim's strength and determination that prevailed. With a powerful strike, he defeated Malik Jibo, ending his reign of terror. As the dust settled, the people of Zamani stood victorious, their unity and courage shining brightly in the aftermath of the battle. Ibrahim, Abu Bakr, and Yusuf stood together, knowing that they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger for it. The threat of the Yarima bandits had been vanquished, and the people of Zamani could finally celebrate their hard-won peace. But as they looked to the future, they knew that with their king by their side, they could face any challenge that lay ahead. Together, they had proven that unity and determination could overcome even the greatest of threats.